Welcome to Housing Developments.
I'm Jim Tobin.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
Paul, how are you?
Man? Good.
Good,
Man.
good.
Getting ready to travel again.
Midweek ahead of the big fall leadership meeting out in Palm Springs. Looking forward to getting out there, seeing all the members and a little bit of heat.
Yeah, really. Not just a little bit of heat, a lot of heat.
Yeah, I heard they're in a cold front. It's only going to be in the mid 90s.
Oh, I'm going to bring my muff.
Yeah, that's right.
So we got a little bit of action going on.
Yeah.
I guess let's start talking about the House and what's going on with the budget and everything else. Some movement in a lot of ways and a lot of weirdness in a lot of ways too.
Yeah, a couple things. I think first let's talk about HBI, our workforce development partner, who is facing a little bit of headwinds because of the appropriations process. The House Republicans gutted. Gutted means it implies they may have left something. They stripped the Job Corps program out of the appropriations bills
to zero,
which hurts HBI. Is the largest Job Corps contractor in the country. Right. Does such great work at Job Corps centers all across the nation. They're actually in town this week for their board meeting, and Lake Colson and then the government affairs team is taking the HBI directors up to Capitol Hill to lobby their members of Congress and those who would cut it, but also allies, because we do have friends on the Senate side who fully funded the program.
Right.
And so we're good work by those directors, but a really important program, and part and parcel of the approaches we're seeing right now from the conservatives of just want to cut the budget, regardless of the consequences to our industry, especially when it comes to workforce.
Yeah, and we have 20 meetings set up. I mean, it's a good bunch of people.
Yeah. Mini LegCon, right?
Mini LegCon, as we talked about.
Yeah. Kudos to Lake and his team for really working with Ed Brady and the HBI board to really activate on this.
Yeah, and then we got a little bit of news in regards to more House drama in regards to Biden, McCarthy kind of moving in and saying, okay, I acquiesce to you all. We're going to start doing an impeachment inquiry on Biden. Yeah,
this is what Nancy Pelosi did a couple of years ago. Endorsed the inquiry, right, which is not really give the authority to the committees to start collecting information and building that case essentially before they bring articles of impeachment. It's kind of out of the Pelosi handbook, what they did to President Trump. We're seeing a little tit for tat here, and we'll see where the evidence leads. I'll leave it at that. But it's all about politics. The 24 general election politics really starting to creep in to this year already. Not surprising, of course. Everything's political. Mitt Romney announced today he's not seeking election on his way out the door. He basically threw Biden and Trump under the bus and say we need new leadership on both sides of the aisle.
Right.
So we're in that silly season and right at a time where I don't know how much we can afford it, because we are hurtling towards September 30th, end of the federal budget's fiscal year.
Yeah.
No deal on appropriations, number one. No deal on a continuing resolution to keep the government open. Flood insurance, the National Flood Insurance Program is tied to those fiscal bills.
Yeah.
So if they default and don't have a deal, whether it's a continuing resolution or appropriations, by September 30th, we could see
freezes up.
Everything freezes up, which means the National Flood Insurance Program is not writing any more policies. We'll see real estate deals freeze, closings will freeze. So we're already talking to our allies on Capitol Hill saying, hey, we don't need the flood insurance program to pause, but more importantly, the mortgage markets in the economy doesn't need to be rattled by this.
Right. Now, a few weeks ago, you were a little bit more optimistic in regards to no government shutdown, anything's going to happen, CR, probably most likely, a continued resolution. Any feeling, have you changed any in your feelings?
No, we've shut the government down a handful of times in my career here. It's usually for only a little bit of time to make their case. I still think that they will get some continuing resolution. Democrats are going to have to come across the aisle to help the Republicans out. They'll lose a bunch of votes. Matt Gaetz, for instance, said he refuses to vote for any continuing resolution.
Right.
They're missing 4 members who would vote for one.
Talk about that, because I don't think a whole lot of people understand that.
We were. There's a couple members of Congress that are hurt. Steve Scalise is battling cancer. Yeah. We've got one member that got hurt on his farm, so he's out. So there's 4, I think, what I would call good votes for Speaker McCarthy on a continuing resolution. They're out, only a
Right.
4-seat majority. So there's a lot of math kabuki dance that has to be done here on counting votes. But I'm still optimistic. In my mind, a government shutdown is an unforced political error.
Sure.
And does the Republican Party's already slim? They're trying to keep their majority in the House, trying to expand to retake the majority in the Senate. The Republicans really may look like they're shutting down the government when buying a couple more months till we get into December is probably the best path.
Do you think McCarthy's in trouble?
No, I don't. Not yet. I just don't think so. I think the moderates will have his back.
Okay.
The conservatives might be nipping at his heels and making life difficult, but I don't think so. I think Speaker McCarthy is more in danger by virtue of losing the election next year than he is about any internal strife.
Okay.
That's just my sense. That said, we're a long way from the election, and I know the Republicans are doing everything they can to hold on to the House.
Sure. So let's talk a little bit about more of the economic side. No, actually, let's stay with the government.
Okay,
Let's stay with the
all
government,
right.
and let's go with DOL.
Yeah.
The Department of Labor came out with some new overtime rules.
Right.
Basically increasing the amount from $35,500 to $55,000 roughly.
Yeah.
Which will allow more people to claim overtime. Overtime. Do we like this?
Not really. I think in a lot, certainly, I personally, I believe that our industry pays a really good wage.
Right.
So, for us, how much it affects us, it's going to raise the cost of wages, which means the cost of labor goes up to build a house. It means those increased labor costs transfer into the ultimate price of a home, making it less affordable. That's what this is all about. $20,000 is a pretty big leap.
Yeah.
And so, whether they phase it in to make it easier for small businesses and business in general to comply with, we'll see what happens. But again, not a surprise from this administration. We saw President Obama do the same.
Right.
I believe NHB sued at that time, and it got rolled back somewhat. So
that's right.
Like anything, there's a long way to go on this, but reason to be concerned.
Because they're also locking into inflation. So basically, every 3 years they'll reassess and do that. Kind of like ramp it up to whatever inflation brought it to.
Yeah, that's right. If we're going to do that, then I've got a bunch of housing programs I'd like to index to inflation too. Right. It'd be nice if the mortgage interest deduction got indexed to inflation, or let's say that the $500,000 net sale, the tax free
capital gains.
Yeah, capital gains on the sale of your home. I'd like to index that for inflation. Right. So, we could. I got a list of things if we do that.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like the timing is just off on all of this, right? For our industry.
Yeah.
I mean, inflation numbers came out today as we're recording this. Everyone's talking about gasoline because that was the big the big driver to up 10%.
Right. Pardon the pun.
Right. Yeah. But you know which was number two? Housing again.
Yeah.
So I mean, we're up over 7% year over year.
Right.
So, and no one's talking about it. And this is the time that we're going to be sitting here and talking about nickel and diming the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as I know, affordability hasn't gotten any better.
No.
So, I mean, what do you? I mean, we've been talking to our friends to try and get the Fed involved and at least put a spotlight that the last thing you need is to increase rates because that's going to kill the number one inflation driver in core CPI. Yep. I mean, where do we go from here?
Yeah, I think next week the Fed's going to meet. They'll decide if they're going to raise rates. Seems like the general consensus is that they're not going to
this time.
This time, right? Which means that there's always a next time,
right?
I don't know if these inflation numbers today spooked them a little bit that they feel like that they need to raise rates next week.
Right.
But a pause would be good. I think it would signal that maybe we all know we're at the end. The question is whether there's one more rate hike or not.
Right.
I think again, we've been saying this all along. Policymakers have to step in and try to clear some of that regulatory underbrush.
Yeah.
And get more land available for building and just allow more construction. That's the way we're going to solve this. Do ultimately rates weigh on the housing market enough where prices really actually start to fall? We'll see. So far, they seem to defy gravity.
Yeah, time will tell, I guess. I I don't know what else is going on out there that we need to
Well,
let our folks know about.
Yeah, it's well, we've kind of covered the waterfront of what's going on in the DC and in the policy side of things. Yeah, it's just it's.
I don't want to say business as usual because right now we're so away from usual.
Right.
But I mean, the beauty is and by saying our guys, like our people, our members, I mean, they're going through all of this. I mean, we were talking about before, when we started recording about our associates, right?
Yep.
Like everyone thinks it's the builders, but man, it's everybody in the industry. I mean, I know that the mortgage industry is hurting right now. A lot of layoffs right now.
A lot of layoffs. What did I see? 10% of loan originations are refis, and usually it's 60%, something like that.
Right.
It's a lot of layoffs there. It's Association Appreciation Month.
Right.
So thank you to all our associates out there.
That's right.
And like Paul said, we couldn't do what we do from the building side without our associates. And so they're hurting too, right? Their sales are down. But I'm also optimistic that there's enough business in the pipeline. Demand still, the fundamentals of the housing market are still there.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that once we get used to 6% mortgage rates, everybody's going to start. We're going to accelerate again. And we've been talking about the back half of this decade as being really positive for housing, and I believe that.
Awesome. Well, from your lips to God's ears.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Well.
All right. Well, I'll see you in Palm Springs if not sooner.
Till Palm Springs. I look forward to seeing all our friends and listeners and watchers out there in Palm Springs. And so until next time, I'm Jim Tobin.
And I'm Paul Lopez. Take care.
See you.